There you go.
Hi folks, a bit Tacitus today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio, radio, no pictures live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast, as you're driving along in your car or your truck, or put in those earbuds as you're going along in public transport. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the idea of pre-crime or future maybe, could be, possibly, might happen type crime, particularly where it's around supposed safety associated with people of alleged low social power. So that's anything other than white males, really, I guess, in today's world. But this sort of concept was touched upon by, say, movies like Minority Report, which sort of focused on this concept that people who would commit crimes in the future could be arrested today so that they wouldn't commit those crimes. So it's a future crime that had not yet happened or not yet occurred and may not occur, but on balance of probability would occur, was the sort of setting of the movie. Now, the Minority Report idea was there were, I think it was three, people that could prognosticate about the future, and they but if one of them dissented from the view, that is the minority, then that Minority Report could be used to say, well, maybe this crime won't happen. So that's the idea, a future crime that hasn't yet occurred. Now, as the legal system in the West moves increasingly to a globalized, the globalization project wants, needs, and must have ideological law, fact-based law, evidence-based law, tested evidence, these sorts of things. It doesn't allow for the subversion and degradation and undermining of white society that ideological law does. So ideological law says, well, the black lesbian we must make a legal decision in favour of the black lesbian and not in the favour of the straight white guy because she has less social power. Therefore, we have to find in her favour on the basis of ideologically determined social power, not based on the evidence. Now, this, of course, is tailor-made for undermining and subverting any society. It's certainly subverting the West in a way that, 50 years ago you just couldn't have imagined, or even 30 years ago you couldn't have imagined. Now, we did see the beginning of this ideological law in the divorce courts. He's the evil oppressor and she's the helpless victim, this sort of stuff. If he makes more money than she does, then that merely confirms his oppressor status. So, but also, if you looked at the ideological law that was going on in divorce courts to say, well, if we let him have contact with the children, then he might be violent towards them. Not that we have any evidence to suggest that he has been or will. Not that we have any evidence suggesting that he is intending to. In fact, we have no evidence whatsoever. But what we are arguing ideologically is that he might. And how do you know that he won't be violent towards the children or violent towards the ex-wife or whatever? Now, because we can't categorically prove that he will not be violent, we therefore must err on the side of caution and just make it that he's not allowed to see his own children. And if he attempts to, then we can say he's broken a law and we'll send him to prison. That's how we're going to do this. But wait, stop. He has committed no crime. You've got no evidence whatsoever. But he might do it. And that's enough. So that's the sort of ideological construct that's developed. Now, this has crept into many different types of law, all of it ideological, by the way, but nonetheless, it's crept into. So say in the case of an illegal alien immigrant who's come to a Western country, illegally broken all sorts of laws, passed through numerous safe countries to get to the West, was at a refugee camp but didn't want to stay there because, whatever, and I want a better life and so on. So their request for asylum or whatever it is they think has been turned down, as you would imagine it would. They've passed through plenty of safe countries, even left a safe refugee camp to come to the West illegally. So they're going to be deported back to Africa or somewhere, Pakistan, something like that, a third world country. But the very well cashed up human rights lawyers say, well, Abdul may suffer privations if we send him back. Now, then the burden of proof is reversed. All you do is raise that, and to some extent, it's very vaguely and loosely worded. To some extent, this is in the International Charter of Human Rights and so on. Even the European Court of Human Justice has signed a reference to this. So, but it's extremely broad and vague and could be interpreted a million ways. But the activist judges who hear the cases tend to hear it in the way that it was ideologically intended to be used. So they can argue, well, we can't send Abdul back because we in this court haven't got evidence to prove that he won't be harassed or he won't be treated badly. We can't prove that he won't be treated badly. So therefore, his human rights would be abridged or impinged upon if we sent him back, because we can't prove that forever now, for tomorrow when he arrives and forever in the future, that he won't be safe. Now that's of course patently absurd, because not only does it reverse the burden of proof, but it speculates on a possible outcome that may never occur, where there can be no proof that it might occur, or even it's possible it would occur. But that's used by these activist courts within the ideological sort of parameters of ideological law. So, well, we can't send him away. So even though he's broken all these laws, done this, done that, bribed this and so, even though he's committed crimes in this country, we can't send him back because we can't prove that he's going to have a perfect life from here on into the future if we send him back. So therefore he gets to stay. So sweeping legal decisions that obligate white people to pay for, or straight white males in particular, but obligate white people to be responsible for and pay for, look after and take the heat for, take the fall for, and to be controlled by the state, even though they have committed no crime and there's no evidence that they will or could or ever have committed a crime, they nonetheless can be controlled and obligated to either pay or behave in a certain way, or not allowed to go here or can't go there or can't talk to this or that person and so on. So this level of control is based on this ideological future maybe could be a crime later, can't prove it's not type. Now, this is obviously insane. It's insane, but this increasingly is. For example, actually the examples are almost endless. The black lesbian says that she was offended by a social media posting, and so she can say, well, I feel unsafe. What's the definition of unsafe? Well, there isn't one. But in the court case, the black lesbian might be a victim of hate, or might be a victim of, or might be targeted, or might be subject to, or could be endangered. Not will be, or no proof for it. Could be, maybe. And it's all an ideological sort of miasma of hysterical, insane leftist Marxist claptrap. But that doesn't matter, because you can find now, easy to find an activist judge to hear the case. And so, well, that's right. The black lesbian could be, and the straight white person has upset them and caused them to be in this position of danger. Therefore, and so it just reinforces the whole thing. So you're not allowed to say anything in social media that might possibly upset the black lesbian. And there are armies of NGOs, very cashed up NGOs, that are running around desperately looking for these sorts of things to prosecute them through activist departments of prosecution and get activist judges to hear the case. So I just want to lay out that architecture there. Not only is the burden of proof reversed, so that the person with the supposedly greater amount of social power has to prove that they didn't do it. Any benefit of the doubt is given to the person with the least social power, or the group, in the event it's a sort of a group class action type thing. But also this future crime where, no, you can't deport that person. Well, they might suffer some, and this sort of thing. No, you can't let the father see the children because he might be violent, and on and on and on it goes. And this is increasingly becoming the standard that is being used in many legal cases. Anything that has race or gender or sexuality conflict in it is increasingly being decided through these new ideological legal methods, and it is a screaming disaster. And yet, no politician that I'm aware of is pushing back against. Any groups that are questioning it are not receiving a penny of government money, whereas the groups that are screaming and advocating this type of ideological, maybe a crime in the future type thing, they are generously government funded and receive vast amounts. Now, the reason they get vast amounts of money these days is because it is absolutely perfect for subverting and undermining any society. The race, gender hustling, and then this reversing of the burden of proof in the future crime thing. So anybody could be dragged into court, anybody for any reason. Prove that some future event that it won't, but prove that this person will never be the subject of hate. Can't prove it. Prison for you, motherfucker. And this is the standard that we're Sam Melia in the United Kingdom would be an example of this sort of encroachment of ideological law on fact-based law, but it might incite hatred. Yet when groups run around the streets saying all white people are Nazis and fascists and everything, that's apparently not inciting hatred. That doesn't matter. So again, it comes back to the social power thing, and of course the ideology underwriting it. You've been fantastic about your pushback channel, and thank you for listening.